Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. My name's Bryce. That's Nate. It's the Desert Devils FC United podcast. Let's get after it. Nate, how the heck are you, brother?
Doing perfectly after a W yesterday. Always happy to get the wins, even in preseason.
Still a W, baby.
It's still a W. I still remember, I think it was Van Gaal after we beat LA Galaxy 7-0. We beat Madrid that summer, I think, and then our opening match we lost to I was gonna say Stoke, but it wasn't Stoke. It was Swansea. If you remember that,
wasn't
we lost
good.
2-1 and started just disaster. So the preseason obviously doesn't always matter as much, but from what I've seen from Leeds to West Ham match, it's good. So let's get into it. Obviously 2-1 win. Early Bruno penalty. Areola did not have a great match in goal for West Ham, obviously.
Buddy, he went out Friday night in New York City and had himself a time and was barely awake.
Actually, what I'd say to you on that is
30 minutes
he went out late on Friday in Jersey and then had to show up for the match. Instead of New York City, he'd be fine, but he had to end up in Jersey. No offense to anyone in Jersey, but
well, maybe he started in New York City and ended in Jersey.
Poor dude. I can't fault him for Bruno's second goal. We'll get there, but that first one,
although he was the pass giveaway that Manu picked off.
Oh no, I don't mean that. I just mean I saw somebody talking about his positioning and stuff, and after watching it, Bruno just collects it. The keeper is cemented in that spot, and everybody on the field just watched him side foot, soft curler.
It was nasty.
It was so.
But I swear, I thought the goalkeeper is the one that tried to make the pass through the middle that Manu.
No, he was. I just mean on him trying to save
the
it.
Shot.
Yeah. Which Bruno, he won't be the last. He sent the keeper the wrong way on the penalty and then froze the keeper on the second. It was good.
Oh yeah.
But I thought we had
Bruno does that to a lot of keepers.
I know. Well, hopefully he will continue to do that. Thank you for not leaving for Saudi Arabia for what was it, $10,000 a minute or something that he was going to earn?
Something stupid.
Something ridiculous. So, he's been my favorite player outside of United before he got here for a while. Just how creative, how fearless, how much he was pushing things forward. Doesn't mind a shot from distance. Always has a great pass. So the fact he joined United, that was one of my top Christmases for a long time when he finally joined up during that winter window. But I thought the match yesterday actually was really energetic. Where we talked a bit about it on our last podcast, but just that lack of energy, we were talking about Rashford, but it wasn't always just Rashford. We were watching guys jog, we're watching guys lose the ball and turn. But I think from Leeds to West Ham yesterday, and I'll be interested to hear what you think and what you saw, but I saw so much pressing and energy. Cunha, Højlund, Ahmad, every time they were pressing up against those center backs that slide, to the left and right of the keeper when they're ready to go, I loved what we were doing. West Ham handled it fine. They gave it away more than a few times, obviously, from that prep.
Yeah.
But if you compare to where we were before to where we are now in terms of energy, I remember talking to somebody even a couple of years ago, and they were just saying, we just want to see people try. We've come so far down.
That
our great hope is, are you giving everything that you have, for the club? So I enjoyed seeing
that. Which should be a minimum requirement to be a professional athlete of any kind. But we see how far the NBA has fallen.
Yeah, it's gone the opposite way. Money is now the number one thing, and guys know, I'm getting paid by my employer, my sponsors, and you can see the difference in guys who want it, and it's really hard sometimes to see that from other teams that I just fucking hate the stuff out of so badly. To see them trying harder than us, it's hard, but
painful.
more
Yeah.
than painful. But what I
Yeah.
saw yesterday was what I'm hoping to see more of. Now, we gave it away a lot, which I know, like, but I feel like we were pushing and pressing and forcing the issue a lot of times instead of trying to
That's fair.
slide passes
Yeah.
out a bit wider, maybe. What do you think?
So to your point, the pressing was visibly different. I do think it was better. I'm curious if it had a little bit to do more with the formation that West Ham came out with that was maybe a little bit more similar to the one that United tried to deploy. I mean, pre-match they were saying that they were in a 3-4-1-2 when we were in a, obviously our 3-4-2-1, so so there's some similarities there. Ultimately, I do just think it was more intentional around, okay, we've gotten our legs under us for one match and they've been working on it a little bit more. To your point, I don't like that there were a handful of times that West Ham, for crying out loud, and not even their best 11 had gotten through the press in what seemed to be a little easy. There were a couple times where, and I'm going to talk about him at length today, where you could tell Hoyland was late on a pin down, and right, it was dink dink back to the keeper and then into a center back where you want your striker coming back with back pressure, leading them right into one of your 210s. That it was light, and he's one that busts his hump, and it was almost as if he was sprinting the wrong direction once and then coming back never happened. But anyway, it's not the point that I want to get into about him later. But the point is, it just we were off, and there were multiple times where one player who was pressing in one area after the ball moved needed to have turned to press in another area, and the ball had moved too quickly and found the gap, and then they're out. So that's something that's going to need to change slash get better. The other piece of that is, especially given the quality of the players in the Premier League that you're going to face on a week in, week out basis, how realistic is that aggressive of a press for 90 minutes of a match when you can't substitute off 10 players in the 66th minute, right? Like you can in a preseason. I love at halftime the interview with RA where he said, yeah, 70-minute, everybody's coming off. And I'm giving him to the 70th minute because it's a fitness test. I'm like, respect, right? Little window into the plan of what he was thinking, which I liked. And again, there's tons and tons of points from the match that I'm sure we'll be able to get into here. But again, that was my biggest takeaway is, yes, we won the ball into advantageous areas, either in or close to the attacking third. Bruno's goal, in open play. But also, a lot of times we got split, and
Yeah, it happened a
you
lot.
play against top half of the league teams, because like West Ham's one of my probably going to get relegated teams, or at least top 5 most likely. And so concerning. But again, preseason. I did send that text in our group chat of at halftime, we were up obviously 1-0, but the Bruno goal was a pen, the first one, where I go, 135 minutes of preseason and we haven't scored in open play. Not great. Not great. I know. Yeah. So those are my biggest takeaways. One player that looked good for you. One player that you saw in that match and was like, "Oh, how you doing?"
Yeah, that was
One player for you, yeah.
Matthias Delic for me in that sense. I mean, when you're picking man of the match, it's hard not to pick somebody who scored 2 goals and scored the winning goal with a deft curling chip into the side net. Like, I mean, that's man of the match stuff. So Bruno by far was man of the match in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
But straight to your point about our press and them, 2, 3, 4 passes and they're past midfield and kind of running at that back line, I thought Delict was where he should be, when he should be there. And I noticed it early on, so I started paying a bit more attention because I noticed the press we were putting on was leaving a lot of space open, especially when we're charging right at the defender and not almost like in basketball, instead of a man-to-man defense playing that zone, which obviously you press, but everybody's got to press together and cover those lanes. So I noticed Delict just stepping in when he should, tackles, headers, like he was that rock in the middle. and that's what I saw at Ajax. That's what I saw at Bayern. In my opinion, I don't understand why managers aren't more favorable to him, especially the last couple he's had before he joined us. But I thought he was absolutely superb on that back line. Maguire was with the second group that came out when everyone got subbed off when they made the big switch. So seeing Delict back there, I thought was really good for me. So outside of Bruno, who was an obvious man of the match, he's mine. What about you?
Great point. Bruno, definitely, obviously, man of the match is easy, 2 goals. Dorgu looked good. Dorgu looked really, really good. And I'm very excited to then now see the growth of the connection between him and Mateus Cunha. There were a couple little 1-2s that were slick, little touch here, touch there, or balls that had come to Cunha from Aiden Heaven, and Dorgu knew when to go and provide the overlapping run or when to hold closer to Heaven so that when the ball was played to Cunha, Cunha had space to operate. Because that's the other thing that we don't think about maybe as much is, we talk about how those wing backs, we want them flying down the wings.
Right.
If, depending on the defensive structure of the opponent, if they're pressing a little higher or man marking a little further up the pitch, you don't want Dorgu just flying right away, because if the ball comes into Cunha and he's one-on-one with a center back, please and thank you. I'll take that all day. Like, you give him that ball back to goal with a center back on his back, you give him that pass 5 times, we're scoring at least twice. Like,
Agreed.
yeah, be dumb enough to leave him one-on-one, please and thank you, right? And so knowing when to go and when to give him his room to operate for Dorgu. And I feel like there was a lot of that. Or again, I can think of one in particular where Hayden plays the ball to Dorgu, it goes into Cunha, he takes off, little 1-2, boom, boom, we're in behind. And then I think it was either the very next possession or a couple possessions later, again, Hayden skipping Dorgu, skipping Mano, straight to Cunha, and once the ball's played, then Dorgu just takes off. It's a little flick touch from Cunha, and now he's in. And the free kick, I think that was actually to start the game. That was the free kick that we won that ended up causing the penalty after, Ariola was like, you're drunk, bud, go home. Bobbles it into his own defender. But anyway, that was huge for me. I love to see it. The other player that I think is the biggest question mark for us going into the season, as in what is his future, was Kobbie Mainoo. And I felt like he played very well. There were instances where he was late on a press and his man got the ball and they found their way out. But there were also a lot of other instances where he was in the right place at the right time and intercepted a pass and didn't allow it to break. Again, Bruno's second goal. Mainoo's the one that reads that, picks that off, and then just says, here, Bruno, do your thing.
Right.
And so that was fantastic. But this season upcoming is a big deal for him to figure out where he fits in this squad, right?
Absolutely.
We go out and we get the Bryan Mbeumo deal done. So you assume he's him and Cunha are playing the 2 10s, right? You would assume. So Kobbie ain't a wingback. So the only other place on the pitch you're going to play that kid is at one of the central midfield roles. Now he's super young. So he has time to mold and grow into different positions.
Yeah.
So where does he fit? And I think his performance, and again, it's preseason, not read into it too much. Oh my gosh, calm down. But it was, I think, a step in the right direction for him to show Amorim that he can play one of those 2 spots. Now, Ugarte, we know, is more stay-at-home, chill guy, which is great. And Kobbie, I think, needs that. He's not the 6 in that 2 center mid system.
No, he's not.
But again, going back to Mbeumo, Cunha, right 10, left 10, where does Bruno fit on the field? He's got to come deeper. So if he comes deeper to the 8, and Mainoo's supposed to try to be the 8, he ain't a 6, so something's got to give. So anyway, point being, he played well. I liked a lot of the things that he did. And I think more good from him will be great to see. He's got a lot coming. Players that didn't play very well, the entire second 11 that came on the field.
They got out energied. I mean, West Ham, the second 11, they didn't sub in a full 11 like we did, like on the spot. But as they subbed in, every one of those players was beating them. But I mean, you'd have to pull up the list of who that second 11 was, but Shazi, Maguire, like these guys who unfortunately we've seen get beat a lot. I mean, even with energy and speed, that's kind of it's the first thing I noticed is like, okay, there's a new 11. What's that going to look like? And it ended up looking like it looked. Now
they were flattered and roadkill in Texas.
Oh,
it was bad.
That's a really bad.
It was
flat,
bad.
That's no joke. But I think too, seeing, I mean, obviously we haven't seen Xerxes yet. He just had his little niggling injury, so hopefully we'll see him Wednesday in Chicago. See your boy there. I think too about Kobe on that is him and Ugarte have played really well together. Ugarte does sit back, which gives Kobe a bit more room to freely roam. But I also think, like, obviously Ahmad scored. I was called back for offsides. But Ugarte, with just that a couple of little touches, we saw it 2 or 3 times last year. Nutmeg
little
somebody,
double
take it
nutmeg?
around. Yeah, like.
The pass was a nutmeg too, by the way.
Yes. Oh, I know. And it was just a second late, which I yelled it. My wife was next to me, and she's like, what are you yelling at? So it was a second off. Like, I saw him make the run. But seeing the fact that Ugarte can stay still and hold back, while somebody like Kobe, who's going to be a lot more creative, Ugarte seems to find moments. And for me, he seems to pick the right moments to make those runs. And that's the part that I enjoyed a lot about watching that midfield. Bruno playing in front of them a bit. Ahmad obviously to the right, Cunha to the left, and then Højlund up top. And Bueno, how do you add that? We're obviously rumored to be looking at maybe a defensive midfielder, somebody a bit more grit in there. So, yeah, I mean, they always say it's great to have so many great players. It's the manager's best headache they can possibly have. The problem is I've noticed for us, we seem to be, or at least in the last few seasons and maybe more than that, stacking players in similar positions and then forcing guys out of their natural spots to fill in. Now, ask any one of those players. They're not going to tell you no. Like, we want you to play somewhere that you're not 100%, like that's your number one spot where you should be played. Do you want to sit or do you want to play? Every player is going to be like, I'll play left back. Like, I know I'm a striker, but I'll play fucking left back if I have to. Like, that energy and desire to play. So I feel like we've gotten stuck. And one of the things I will say about your point earlier about kind of that over pressing, running on, like, can you do that for 90 minutes? Should you do that for 90 minutes, etc.? The thing I noticed with that is watching Sporting with Amaran the last few years, they pressed from the opening whistle until it was over. Like, they ran at everyone. And that's not something we're used to seeing, a team that's that fit, that can do that for a long time. You've seen us tire out in the 70th, 80th minute and concede a goal just because we just couldn't do it anymore. So I enjoyed watching that and seeing it. Like I said before, we can all name so many times we just watched them, and I don't know if they did, but where there's smoke, there's fire. They appeared to just give up, just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to. So I think that's part of Amarim sifting a bit of the wheat, get rid of the chaff, a poor religious reference, but trying to find his guys.
It's a good one. 10 points. Snaps.
Terrible. I apologize to all of my listeners. I love all of you. The idea that we can put a team forward who's in shape. And, I mean, Shaw, he looks fantastic. I only remember him looking as thin and fit when we first got him, when he was a lot younger. So I'm excited to see what Amarim does moving forward. But what I saw from Leeds to West Ham, and then obviously we got Bournemouth in a couple of days in Chicago. I'll be interested to see, does he follow that up with the same 11? Is he going to mix his first guys to give them a lot of time, like you mentioned, that 70 minutes of fitness work? Is he going to mix it up, or is he trying to find who he thinks could be that, that first 11.
Knowing him as long as we have at United, I would say the trend would be he's going to just make a few changes in order to see about a best 11.
Yeah.
I think it would be fine and would be well warranted just to give other people some more minutes for the sake of the fitness. You touched on him, so I'm going to go in on the dude. Luke Shaw was terrible. Like Aiden Heaven, while he got twerked by Bowen for the goal,
He did.
almost every first touch Aiden Heaven took when he received the ball from De Ligt was forward.
Correct. Which
And it
I
was
noticed
driving,
last
and
season
that's-
too.
And that is something that we hear all the time when people talk about Ruben Amorim systems is players that can carry the ball forward. I don't think I saw a single time where Luke Shaw received a ball, and it was mostly from Harry Maguire, but in general, where his first touch actually took his momentum forward. His first touch was right underneath his foot, and then he stood there staring like, who do I play the ball to? Da, 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 da.
We did play a
Like
lot,
it was
a lot of long balls
like it
in
was
that second.
like it
that
was
second
Sunday
group.
beer league, and he didn't want to get forward. Like, if I dribble forward and we lose it, then I'm gonna have to run backwards, and I don't want to do that. Like, I could be completely just seeing this in a negative way, but I swear the dude didn't take any hardly positive touches. It was bad, and so I saw that and I went, again, either you were the one out late last night with Areola, or you're just not getting it that the left center back needs to try to progress the ball forward.
I don't think anyone did
And
in that
it's
second 11 though. That was the
out of the
thing I
second. That's
noticed.
fair.
I felt like that
That's
energy
fair.
West Ham second 11 brought pressed that defense almost like we were pressing West Ham in the first half, like getting
Right,
on
but-
their back line and trying to keep that ball. I know same thing. Shaw would get the ball, even Maguire would get it, and their first touch couldn't be forward or to be right into a West Ham player. So they'd go sideways or backwards, but then they'd hit a long ball. So we tried to play long ball tactics over the top.
Right.
We don't have that. We don't have the players to try to go over the
Right.
top the way we used to.
Yeah, and from a progressive passing standpoint, if you look at when you're either your left-sided center back or your right-sided center back, when one of the two outside center backs has the ball, theoretically speaking, your three advanced passes that are easiest to hit should be your near-sided 10, your near-sided center midfielder, or your wing back here, right? You have those straight ahead of me, on my left, on my right. Those are your three passes that, realistically speaking, will at least make the ball go forward, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have either of those three passes, can you dribble forward is your fourth option, right? Or again, maybe Amorim has those four in an order that's different of where you'd prefer your first look to be. And I'm sure the opponent's tactics probably have a little bit to do with that. But the point is to get the ball forward rather than having to go back to your goalkeeper, which Luke Shaw did, I think, 70% of the time. I'm exaggerating because it bugged me, but whatever. Forward, buddy, right? I remember listening to an interview that Rio Ferdinand did, where he talked about playing the ball side to side when he first got to United, and I forget who it was that gave him crap, and it was probably like Keane or something, where it's like, you're at United now, get the ball forward.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what's sideways, backwards? Screw that, buddy. And so that was triggered in my mind the entire time whenever Luke Shaw would receive it. Nah. Hey, I'll tie. Like, and yes, I'm moving around because it was frustrating the crap out of me. I was bouncing up and down on my couch. My
No.
kid kept looking at me like, what is Daddy doing? He is weird. Like, so anyway, that was the big one for me. And the other one, and I've defended this dude for so long, and last week I defended him like crazy, but Rasmus Højlund ain't it. He ain't it. He ain't it. 3 or 4 different times, Bruno and Cunha are trying to do a little 1-2, or there's a dummy, or there's something cheeky going on where, like, if you could read what they were doing or thinking, they're in on goal, and he ain't it. And again, maybe, you give him, he's had 2 years, but maybe You give him a little more time with Mbomo and with Cunha and Bruno all on the pitch, where like they can almost joystick him a little bit, because like the opening minute, the strike that he had that was off the post. I mean that was like, okay, kid, you're gonna have a day, buddy, and then from there.
I think you're being way
I don't
too
know.
harsh on him. Listen,
I don't know.
he was. We talked about it last time too. The amount of money he was purchased for. I mean, he's
Not his fault.
22. Like, none of this is his fault. I think the biggest thing that is his fault is he wants it too much, and he forces a lot of things that he shouldn't have. Like, he shouldn't. So and I know we're going to talk some transfers here in just a second, but like, you know what? I might as well just jump in. So I think if you're looking at signing a striker, which if you believe Fabrizio Romano, who doesn't believe him, obviously, that's a serious consideration.
Tends to get correct
And
every so often.
You're going to talk about it, but we're going to play some. I hate the transfer games. Anyways, my point with Højlund is I've seen it two ways. Sesko's 21. He's 6'5", 6'6". He's a big striker.
6'5", big boy.
He scores some great goals. The Leipzig team he's played for the last couple of seasons is not as creative as the Leipzig team that was before that. So I've seen some knocks against him, like, oh, he should score more goals, or like he's doing that. He's young too. I get that. So it's two ways to look at Højlund, in my opinion. One, you sign an Ollie Watkins, you sign an older striker that can help him, because right now at the club, who is the striker that's bringing him through? If you look at the past strikers we've had for years, we would get the older striker. Exactly. No one. And
Nobody.
And I feel like charging him the full amount for not doing or knowing or whatever is completely unfair. Now, it's not something that can last forever. He's coming into his third season. We know he absolutely works his ass off. We know that. I don't think you could find a United fan who doesn't understand that. But I feel like with the desperation of fans as well as the club to perform and be successful, that pressure, it's fallen on the shoulders of a young man, of somebody who he should be coming into a team playing every game, part of every game, while an experienced striker is out there. So he's seeing and learning and watching. So there's that point of, okay, the striker we're looking for, yes, Sesko, is he the shiny Ferrari when we honestly need more of a armored out Range Rover? Like, that's kind of my view on it with Højlund. I love the kid. You know, he works his ass off. We've seen him get subbed off on the 70th minute because the dude spent 70 minutes sprinting nonstop. He didn't get many touches because we're never finding him like we should. And when he does get the touch, I feel like he forces it. Like, did you see the highlight where the ball came through midfield, and he had to be 8-10 feet behind the defender and just sprinted past him, kind of hit that shot from outside the box on the left side, and just
that was
kind
a
of
right to
like
start the
missed
match.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that is what we know. He's got the speed and we know he's got the touch. But again, I feel like just like the whole team pressing, we're forcing the issue instead of trusting the system, trusting each other, that's every other player that's on the pitch with you, and doing it as a unit, if that makes sense.
That was a very fair argument. And to your point, yeah, I've got my fact-checking screen up over here for all of our listeners and viewers when they keep seeing me go like this. But yeah, he's 22. Birthday's in February, so he's already turned 22. He'll be 23 mid-season. And yeah, we talked about it last time. It's not his fault he was bought for £64 million. And he also doesn't have a mentor. None of them do, right? Which, again, is a good point. At the end of the day, United need a goal scorer.
So who are you buying?
That position is supposed to be the player that does it.
Well,
and so getting into
how many goals did we score last year?
44.
44 goals, exactly.
44.
So,
We've signed 35. Mbomo 20, 15 from Cunha. So we've signed 35. So that's already better. And we did the math last podcast. So for everybody that listens right now is yelling 51 at their phone because that's how many you would have if you added Ollie Watkins and his 16, right? For everybody, we're bringing it back. For everybody that listened to the last one. No, but that's the thing. I don't. Like, I actually don't. But it doesn't. But it just, I feel like it makes sense.
For this situation, you do.
For this situation, it makes sense because at the end of the day, I'm surprised at the price that we've been hearing rumors. So Sesko supposedly, according to reports I've seen
Get
online,
into it because that's wild.
60.6 million pounds. Wait,
for who?
65 for Mbumo, 62 and a half for Cunha, and only 60 for a 21-year-old striker that's supposed to be like potentially the next Haaland.
But we know why teams put those values on players that aren't. It's because they don't want to lose them.
It's because he's young, and there's potential is there. And guess what we said about Rasmus Højlund 2 years ago? Had a hell of a season. Yeah. And Højlund's not a little guy. He's like 6'3", strong, loves to fight with a center back, and he's got pace. Sound familiar? And that's the thing with Sesko that makes me nervous. It makes me very, very nervous. And that's not to be, he could be amazing, right? There's quotes from, and I believe it's a Ratcliffe quote, but if not, it's somebody higher up on the board of, we don't want to sign Mbappe, we want to sign the next Mbappe, or that kind of philosophy, right? Sure, Sesko maybe has some of the tools, but we have no idea. There's people that get paid a lot of money to try to figure that out and then end up paying a lot of money to figure out whether or not somebody's worth it. The reason, and I know I've said Watkins like 20 times in the last 2 episodes, or episode and a half now here, the only thing I might say is towards take a risk on Sesko, because I'm no longer fully Watkined out. What's the price going to be? Because the fact if Sesko's only 60.6 million, reportedly, Aston Villa ain't going to be doing us any favors, right? They just turned down the load bid for Emi Martinez immediately. We're like, you guys are kidding, right? So if we wanted to make a purchase for Watkins, the heck are they going to say with that? Hey, we'll give you 60 million for Watkins. They're going to turn around and say, well, you paid 65 from Mbumo, so we're going to need 70. At which case, if they ask 70 for Watkins, do you not just spend 10 less to get Sesko?
I think so.
The other issue? I mean, maybe, but again, then the other issue is you've got Xerxes, you've got Højlund, you've got Cheeto Obi, 3 young strikers without a mentor, right? What are you going to do? Try to hire Wayne Rooney as an independent consultant and have him waddle around Carrington and try to teach them something? Like, I don't know. We're buying another young striker that's unproven in the Premier League that we don't know if he's going to turn into somebody.
Well, I got a point on this.
Again, I think of United's history. Final one, I promise I'll give it over. How many young strikers were like, did we buy in our club's history, recent history, 30-ish years, where it was like, we have no idea if this guy's going to truly work out or not, but let's spend a lot of money on him?
None.
Or did we buy goal scorers that we knew were going to score some freaking goals?
Well, I feel like to your point, I feel like we always had a couple of things. One, you had multiple strikers. Okay, first off, I mean, at one point you had Gorbatov, Chicharito, Rooney, Welbeck, and I know I'm gonna blank on a couple other, like, that was one of Ferguson's things. You have to score goals. I want to be entertained. I want to see goals. I want to see a lot of goals. He always had that. He had midfielders who scored goals too. But the bigger thing in that is multiple strikers. Right now, when Højlund comes off, name me his replacement. Who replaces him right now in this team? Cheeto Obi. Xerxes played a bit up front, but we saw his best football where? Not up front. Again, stacking players in similar positions. If you have Cunha, Xerxes, Bruno, and Bueno, those are guys that can all play that same spot. Unfortunately, we only need 1, maybe 2. We need more. We got to have people who score. So that's been my biggest thing with the club, and it brings me to my immediate point on strikers. I feel like over the last maybe 3 or 4 years, and I don't have any like facts as far as like data to back this up, but I feel
Data
like
guy.
football
Gotcha.
itself is in a lull in terms of strikers. Now,
Oh yeah.
I think with
100%.
the football revolution over the past 15 or 20 years, when you're looking at like a Pep Guardiola and literally changing how football is played, not just one team plays this way and another team plays this way. Every team to me feels like they're trying to almost play the exact same way now. And nobody's like we used to put a 4-4-2 up against a 3-4-1-2. And the teams weren't trying to match each other. This is our team. This is the formation we play. These are the players we have, etc. So I feel like the striker position is dying. There's only a few guys who are true strikers where, in my opinion, you used to, in the Premier League, if we're talking early 2000s, heading up to 2010, almost every team had a recognizably, like their name was recognizable as their striker. You could name a club, and I would tell you who their striker was. Especially if you go back further. Alan Shearer, Dwight York.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go across the board. Even at Chelsea, you had players. They were strikers.
Drogba.
They were here to
Torres.
score. Exactly. And
was
I
all they
feel
did.
like that's what I've hated about football changing is when we need goals scored, we didn't go out and find a striker. I feel like there's not that many great strikers out there to go and buy anyways, much less the fact that we need one, especially one that is we need a veteran striker. We need somebody who can help a Cheeto Obi, even a Hoyland, and you go and buy Sesko, like you said, you're just compounding this age issue when we probably need somebody a bit older. So now follow me on this one, though. So
Okay.
talking transfers, obviously you've got Newcastle. So Isaac said he wants to take off, right? Newcastle are going to give him a bunch of money.
Here we go.
Dude exploded last season. Happy for him. Who gives a fuck? Now, if he says to Newcastle, if Newcastle decide to let him leave, I just saw like an hour ago Fabrizio saying Liverpool are ready for is this on? Worldwide record bid yet again for Isak. That leaves Sesko.
I've got so many things for that.
I know you do.
But
that
yes.
leaves Sesko, which obviously Newcastle are like, we're all in for Sesko. If Isak leaves, we're getting Sesko. The problem is Sesko prefers United over Newcastle, which brings us all back around to the point that you brought up, which is, what is his price? What kind of price are we talking about? Now, there is supposedly a gentleman's agreement, which we already kind of saw with that stupid striker who I've already forgot his name that went to Arsenal. Don't even say his name.
Portuguese, Swedish guy, right?
I don't even know. Does it matter? No. But the idea that these gentlemen agreements, and Sesko is now falling back on that as well, saying, well, you guys said I could leave for X amount of dollars. In this case, it's $60.5 million. To your point, would you pay $60.5 million for Watkins or $60.5 million for Sesko?
If the price is even and they're both £60.5 million, Watkins.
Wow.
If I have to pay more for Watkins than Sesko, and I don't know what that number is of how much more, than Sesko. Simply because in Amorim we trust. I'm going to go back to this. He wanted Premier League proven players.
Yeah.
And we're still rolling the dice on whether or not Sesko is going to come here and score goals. And I think, I don't know if we talked about this last episode, but the second most runs made in behind of any forward player last season was Watkins.
Right.
He makes that run, stretches the defenders, and Hoyland, bless his heart, does that. And that gives space for those dual 10s underneath him to operate. So if, again, you know, we haven't had Ruben Amorim on yet, which we will at some point, I'm sure, to talk about, right, the specific profile of the 9 that he would want and what the characteristics they are. But again, we've talked about it, or United fandom has speculated on it, right? That, again, running in behind, creating, stretching, Statman Dave did a whole video about it at one point, I think.
Yeah.
I'm quoting other people all the time. That's what I do. But case in point, Watkins makes a lot of those runs. If they're the same price, do you take someone that is a lot lower risk with plenty of rewards still to score goals in the Premier League? Or do you take the guy that's higher risk that, yes, could be a higher reward, but again, and maybe it's striker fatigue, right? We've bought one the last 2 summers in a row and neither have really run with it. I don't know. And again, to your point earlier about the whole name brand, yeah, you say Newcastle United, you think Alan Shearer. You say Didier Drogba, Chelsea, right? There's so many of those players, right, where Robin Van Persie, until he decided he wanted to win a Premier League title and came to United, was synonymous with playing striker for Arsenal. He wanted to win a trophy. So
in that case, so I know you mentioned Watkins, 16 goals last season, Premier League goals.
16 goals, 8 assists.
Right. I know you don't know this, but I'm gonna let you guess. How many Bundesliga goals did Sesko score last year for RB Leipzig?
12.
It's really good. And you would win because it's right under. He scored 13 Bundesliga goals last year.
Oh, I saw that stat like 2-3 weeks ago. I thought I had it memorized. All right.
I'm pretty sure he dealt with I think he had 2 injuries, short ones, nothing big. But that's kind of the number that I'm talking about. I know I sent you a video of some of his, he's scored some straight worldies. We know that.
Freak goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Freak goals.
And watching somebody with that 6'6" with those legs just put their foot through a ball, it's different. It's completely different, obviously. But I think the biggest thing in this case is I got to be with you on this. I think you've changed my mind. If they're the same price, I would have said Sesko, but I would take 16 Premier League goals from Watkins for 60 million, then 13 Bundesliga goals from Sesko. The only thing I'll say on that is I think Sesko has a much bigger ceiling than
100%.
Than
I agree with that completely.
But I think
absolutely,
to your point again, is are we going to continue to try and bet on younger strikers that they are going to come good? But until we remember that we should be carrying 5 strikers, guys who score goals, that's their job, not just 1 or 2, while everyone else is now trying to combine in and score goals. And I know Amorim likes goals from around the pitch. He's not about buying a striker that's going to score you 35 goals next season. He wants a striker who'll score 15, while Bruno will give you.
I mean, that one other guy scored 58 in 56 games. But
exactly. Here's
the other thing to this though too. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's always that one case that makes your point invalid, and unfortunately, that guy that I'm not going to name anymore is that.
Yeah, he's dead to us. And here's the other thing though, and this is the thing about now going and splashing cash for a striker, one that we've seen do it before versus one that's a question mark, and that is the fact that realistically speaking, there's 2 other positions that we kind of want to maybe make some movement on. Right? It's not like, okay, once we get a striker, we're completely satisfied with our window. And for me, that's the whole how much does it cost concern, because unlike City and Liverpool, who are apparently allowed to spend any number of money and it magically does work for FFP, we have to follow the rules. We want a goalkeeper. Right? We'd like to improve that position. We don't feel like we have it right. We'd like to get better at the holding midfielder, because we've talked about it. We've got old man Case, Unk Casemiro, and we've got Ugarte, who didn't show that he was figuring out Amorim's system last season underneath him. Now, granted, preseason maybe he figures it out. 1 full year, give the guy some credit, but again, he wasn't bought for Ruben. So a defensive holding midfielder that understands the system, right, is something that maybe we want to spend. Morton Hillman, obviously, right, comes to mind.
Yep.
Understands the system, right? Plays there. He gets it as far as what Amarin wants from that role. He's gonna not cost 60 million. He's 30, 35 maybe. So for half the price, you get a solution that you need. Do you do that? Does that make more sense to you? Right? I mean, for 40 million, you can solve the defensive midfielder and the goalkeeper position, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Send Lamont, 7 million tops. There you go. You got a young goalkeeper that can push both Bayindir and or Onana, whoever, if you decide to get rid of one of the two of them, for the starting spot and potentially take the starting position for 7-8 million. And then you've got a central midfield player, we talk about 30, 35. So from anywhere from 40 to 42 million pounds, you've solved two positions instead of taking a giant question mark on one up top.
Yeah, that's fair.
Granted, scoring goals, I've heard, you win the game if you score more than the other team. So, a little important. But that's the question mark, because FFP, because again, we're not loser pool, and we're not allowed to spend 250 million pounds in one transfer window and it magically be okay with FFP. No. Or having an oil tycoon that, buys the rules people. I don't know. We don't have that.
Speaking of FFP, obviously Rashford's gone on loan, so I'm happy for him, to be totally honest. If maybe at some point after his career he'll release a book or something and tell us his side of how this kid just went from what he has been to us for years to just on the outside, like all the way at the top to all the way at the bottom. Like I'd like to hear it, but I'll be honest, I'm really happy for him. He said Barcelona's a dream of his for a few seasons now, and he's going to get a chance. But all these teams, even Villa, are asking him to prove it. Like, prove that you're worth whatever clause is being added into this agreement for us to purchase you. And obviously Villa felt like, we're all right. Like, we'll keep that money instead of buying him. I think at Barcelona he could thrive because he doesn't have to be the main guy. Rashford shows up at Villa, he's the biggest name at the club, period. There's not a bigger name than him at that club.
Does he make that? Is he in that starting 11?
Well, that's my point, is I don't think he is, and I think that gives him some freedom to relax a bit. They're going to score goals like we've seen the past couple of seasons Barcelona is. So I'm just going to say I'm happy for Rashford. I saw the Antony news you mentioned earlier. We've been waiting for somebody to put in a bid at least at around the dollar amount.
People have been getting dumb money. People have been getting dumb money from Saudi Arabian clubs for players, and it's happened for everyone other than us. I mean, even though Bruno got the offer but didn't take it, which again we appreciate it. Thank you, Bruno. But like, you know what I mean? Like, so many clubs
Chelsea
have profited off of.
Chelsea had like 2 or 3 players go for like 60 to 70 million.
I mean, right. So it would only be fair that a Saudi club spends 50 million pounds for Antony, the human fidget spinner, and creates a whirlwind of other deals for us. Right?
I should mute your mic from now on after that. That's nonsense right there.
No, clip that, baby. Post that on IG. Clip that and post it. Let's go. Let's go viral.
Listen.
Fidget spinner goes to Saudi. Let's do it.
I don't have the numbers to talk about salary and how that helps us, but I know getting Rashford off the books is a big deal. He makes a lot. 300 plus. Good for him.
325, I think, yeah.
Antony isn't the highest earner at the club, but we're trying to cash in on that. I'm like watching him that second half of the season last year go out on loan and really ball for them. It made me a bit nostalgic. Like, I know
I was happy for him.
I was absolutely thrilled for him.
Well, he's just in the wrong league.
And there's nothing wrong
with that. He's not
going
to do that in the Premier League. He's just not.
I think I know we're going to get into origin stories here in a minute, just a preview for everyone out there to stay with us a bit longer. But
almost there.
We've gotten this I think we think every player that we sign should automatically ball or fit at the club, but it just doesn't work that way. And slowly but surely, with football people in football jobs, I think we're getting back to finding players who belong here. Do you think if we had the money this summer, is this front office spending 90 million or 90 million plus on Anthony coming from Ajax? Is this group that's in the front office now? Exactly. Not a chance.
No
in
chance.
hell. And that's what I mean. Like the difference, unfortunately, we don't have apparently throwaway money to fix this overnight. It's going to take a few seasons. And I'll go back to Alex Ferguson saying all the time, managers need time. If you're going to listen to their philosophy, if you're going to take them through 7 or 8 or 12 interviews before you're going to hire somebody, like us paying Sporting whatever we paid them to bring Amarin over, and you're going to give him 2 seasons
Valid.
and then get rid of him, that's
valid.
We're never going to find that. We're trying to find lightning in a bottle instead of build something that will last. So I'm proud of the steps we've taken.
Snaps.
I also hope the Glazers somehow, I don't think I'll say that publicly. They just need to go home. They need to leave us alone. They need to come back to America and stay here. Right now it's the type of place the Glazers will thrive in, and I'm happy for them. Can they please leave us alone? Yeah.
Green and gold until the Glazers have sold. Green and gold. There's a reason we've chosen that colored logo for anybody that was curious why we specifically have this logo. That's why.
Exactly.
We do not like them. They're not real Americans in our opinion. They're not. They're terrible, blood-sucking leeches, and we hate them.
Well, all you have to do, if anyone's interested in actually finding a long-term opinion about the Glazers, talk to anyone in Tampa Bay about the Buccaneers, their NFL American football team. Just talk to those fans. That's all I'm going to leave it. They'll tell you. All right, so
we wash hands.
We definitely. I don't know if we'll see any movement in this team. Maybe outs. Maybe we'll figure out a way to get a couple of players moving towards the door. But I don't think we're going to solve any of these positions, keeper, midfielder, striker, in the next week or two.
It'll be all the way up to deadline.
Exactly. And I saw the article saying, front offices told Amarin, or at least to expect this, you might not have a striker on opening day. God, I hate when we do this. Like, we leave it. I thought when we got Cunha, by the time these guys were here in America, we were going to already have signed 4 or 5 players, sold 4 or 5, and been ready for a new season. But it's not happening.
Not with the crappy contracts we've got.
Nope.
I'm going to put a bow on the transfer thing, and I'm going to do this on purpose here. I want to hear from our listeners. Email, social media, whatever. Comment on us, DM, tag us, because I've had a lot of people giving me hilarious comments from the last episode. So here's the prompt I'm going to give y'all to shout out at us for the coming week. Ruben Amorim in his pregame press conference for the game against West Ham said, if after the window has closed, there are players that aren't sold, I will welcome them back as Manchester United players. So my question to the fans is this: who would you be okay with coming back, if anyone at all? I'm not going to answer it now. Nate will let this one stew a little bit with all of everybody listening, and maybe we'll get into it a little bit more next week. But I want to throw that out there for the listeners. You tell us who you think and why. Send us some DMs. And on that note, we'll give you a shout out next week if you comment or give us an answer. We'll read it to everybody here on the show. Which reminds me, I have a shout out for Charlie Finch in England. Gentleman I knew from a recruiting process of trying to get to come out and play college ball where I used to coach. And Mikkel Falkenstrom in Denmark, who's also listened, who's a player that I did recruit to come play soccer here in Arizona from Denmark. So I've got shout outs to those 2 guys from commenting on some of our stuff last week.
Beautiful. Nice.
I told you we're going to do shout outs every week, guys.
Yeah.
Shout outs every week.
Hit us up. I've got some thoughts on your question, but we'll table our opinions on that.
Put it in the pocket.
Until next week. All right. And then I know a lot of people, especially Manchester United does not play in the United States. They are not from here. I know
they just did yesterday.
It's mind-blowing, but in like 10 days, they're going to fly away and go back to a different place on this planet that is not here. So how does one who grew up in America, loving hockey as you do, like bleeding St. Louis Blues hockey, How did this young hockey fan become a Manchester United supporter?
So around age 9, I started playing soccer recreationally again. My parents had a rule: you have to try every sport, and if you don't like it, you don't have to play it again. But we're going to make you try everything. So I tried soccer when I was like a knee high, 3, 4 years old. Ended up playing basketball a lot. As other kids started getting taller and I stayed short, I was like, oh, some soccer players are short, which Nate's laughing because he knows how tall I actually am now. But I was like, yes. So I started playing soccer. And in 1999, I was 10 years old. I think a lot of people might know where this is going. But I was watching Sports Center, and I'm like, oh, I'm playing soccer a lot. Sports Center, I watched it most nights. And they had a highlight of this thing that I'd never heard of called the Champions League Final. I'm like, ooh, it's a League of Champions. I'm intrigued. And it was obviously the 99 treble winning final between United and Bayern, and I was newer to the game of soccer, so I wasn't a starter yet. I was a guy coming off of the bench. And in this highlight, you've got this mighty, powerful team that's trailing the whole game, and then the player comes off of the bench to save the day in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I, being newer to the sport, was coming off the bench to save the day. And that just grabbed me. That narrative of we're the underdog, the thought of Fergie time, right? Of dying minutes, dying breath. We're going to give it all and win. That just resonated with me. Again, a lot of, people say Americans love a good underdog story. That was one that I just immediately just became completely glued to, and has carried with me until now, of that fight until the last minute, never say die, win it at all costs at the very end if we have to. And again, that the whole guy off of the bench, the super sub, if you will, I loved that. And so I've been a United fan ever since. And I do have some German heritage. My grandmother is 25% German, so I've kind of always followed Bayern Munich a little bit, just as an honorary second, if you will, along the side of it, just because of those roots. But I've had this flag here since I was 11.
Ooh.
So, yeah, there's my origin story.
Dude, that's such a cool origin story. And for you to be that young, I would have been fascinated to know now, like, how we know how big that 99 win was to complete the treble, and especially the way it happened, Giggs' goal in the FA Cup semi against Arsenal. Like, obviously
so
we
dirty.
know the season by heart, but how big was that in the U.S.? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not asking to get an answer. It's fascinating to think how big football has become here in the States. When you rewind it 26 years, we know it wasn't that big. Like, there were obviously people who played. We've had a couple of different types of leagues here in the States over the years. Always, it seems to be with aging, retiring world stars, but still, beautiful story. So I'll give you
last week.
What's that?
See the tweet last week about Thomas Mueller. Oh, he's not going to retire. He's going to the MLS. Yeah, he's retiring.
It's like rare anymore for somebody to just decide to retire. Like, even Messi didn't just up and retire. He went to play in the MLS. I'm sure he's getting paid. I'm sure Apple is paying him more than enough money.
So much money
to do that.
Yeah, it's the retirement. It's the retirement home of football players.
Like, he needed it.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead with your story. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there. No. You said retirement and MLS. You got me going.
That is the MLS. I mean, we know that. So mine is a little. I grew up playing basketball. I played baseball, tennis. That was mainly it. And I golfed since I was 2 or 3 years old. But basketball was like the sport I got into through the age you were talking about, 9, 10. I played all the way through high school. I had never heard of soccer, what I would now know to become football. I'd never heard of it. Never seen anyone play it. I went to a couple of very small schools growing up. They only had basketball and baseball teams. I didn't go to a soccer game growing up. I'd never heard of it. So in 2002, for the World Cup that summer, that was in South Korea and Japan. Great World Cup, obviously. Brazilian Ronaldo.
So good.
That was my first ever taste of football. Had some friends, some guys I met that were from Guatemala, and they said they were going to be watching the World Cup. And there's me, what's that? And for us, at the point I was living in Colorado, the matches were on at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and 5 a.m. So I spent a month. I just had my wife and I just had our first baby. So my son is months old. No, he'd have been weeks old at this point. She was pregnant when the cup started, and he was born just before the final. So I had this, like, we were waiting for our child, and I'm up at 1 a.m. every night for a couple of weeks watching football, not understanding it, didn't understand the offsides, made no sense. Why does he keep raising his flag? The player looks fine to me. Basketball, you can cherry pick. You can go stand at the other end of the court under the basket, and when your team gets the ball, they can just throw it to the other end, and you can lay it up. You can't do that. So I knew nothing. So that summer for me was learning football. But my favorite player at that World Cup was David Beckham. His mohawk, just how he was, like, I'd never seen an athlete like that. Up to that point, my favorite athlete was Michael Jordan. I mean, I grew up watching Michael. Like, that was the epitome, biggest superstar on the planet for a very long time. So I liked Beckham. When the World Cup was over, I was telling one of my friends that I met, like, this is amazing. Like, I'm obsessive, unfortunately, when it comes to things that that really hit that switch for me. And I was like, I bet you I could play this. I went out and bought some boots and a football, and I started kicking against a wall at the apartment complex we lived in. Like, I'm like, I can do this. And I just told him, you know what, I'm really sad that I'm going to have to wait 4 more years to watch football again. And they just died laughing, like, you don't know what club football is? I'm like, I didn't even know what football was until a month ago, and now, like, what's club football? And they're like, well, your favorite player is David Beckham. He plays for a club called Manchester United. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So 2002, I get on the internet, Google, at that point, Manchester United, and for the next probably 6 months, I read and watched. I went to the library and rented every VHS tape I could find, and most of those were on the season. So I got the 98-99 season. We won
awesome.
3 leagues in a row, obviously, through that period, and that was my introduction. Come to find out, unfortunately, my grandfather died at the end of that year, and we went to the viewing of his body before the funeral service, and I was telling my cousins, I've discovered football and Manchester United, and there was no way to watch the matches then. Fox Sports used to show some La Liga matches, like a Real Madrid match, maybe every 2 or 3 weeks at like 2 in the morning. So I would wake up to watch because I was absolutely obsessed. And so I followed them via ESPN.com, where I followed the matches where it'd be like kickoff, and then it would jump to the 4th minute, like cross by David Beckham to Ruud van Nistelrooy.
The little live update.
Yes, that's how I followed United for almost 3 years before I actually like got to watch matches.
That's awesome.
And then come to find out, 3 of my older cousins who are my close friends grew up playing football, and due to one of my cousin's uncles who lives in Manchester, 2 of my cousins grew up supporting Manchester United because their dad was a fan because of his brother who lives in the UK and has been a Manchester United fan since he was a boy because of his uncle. So come to find out, it's a family affair that I had no idea about. So my origin story basically covers the fact that as an American, I didn't realize that the most beautiful game even existed. And then once it did, my favorite player was Beckham, and then the rest is history, as you can see behind me. behind.
And the fact that it all comes back to
Behind
family
me.
is so freaking cool too.
I know.
I love that.
Well, the more you know.
I love that.
It's what was Reading Rainbow, or no, the more you know. That old stuff.
Yeah.
on the
And
kids show.
the
So
more
we
you know.
did it, but
Twinkle, twinkle.
listen, your origin story is great. I know, like, everybody's got one. And actually, I'll throw that out, too. If you have a super interesting origin story on how you became a United fan, shoot it to us. Send us a message. Shoot us an email. You'll get that all. Check out our page on YouTube or Instagram. You'll see all the ways to contact us. Most of the times, you're going to be getting Bryce. If you start chit-chatting with somebody on there, it's probably Bryce that's going to be busting your balls a bit, trying to hear what you got to say. But
If there's a sarcastic tweet,
yes, we know it's you. We know it's you. And as
if there was somebody tagging Jadon Sancho in cringe videos,
I think before we sign off on this episode, you need to really quickly share your Xerxes comment right now.
oh, that I almost forgot. So yeah, he posted on his Instagram about his new haircut he had, and I commented on it.
Which
I go,
looks to me like his same haircut. I just got to throw
it
that
looks
in. I
exactly
didn't
the same,
notice
but
any-
like I wanted to comment, so I did. So I just go, Fro equals goals, right, Nate? Question mark. And Xerxes himself liked the comment, so obviously we're famous. You know,
We
I had
just
a friend
started,
of
so
mine
we're
in
already
Switzerland
famous.
listen. Yeah, I had a friend of mine in Switzerland listen, and I had a friend of mine in Sweden listen, and then we had a Denmark, and we had an England. So we've already got 5 countries that we've been listened to, if you include obviously the United States. So
Obviously.
yeah, Desert Devils worldwide.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging with us for another episode. Obviously, we're still preseason. Everything we're talking about, we are seriously for 20 or 25 minutes breaking down matches that mean absolutely nothing until we win that summer Premier League trophy and we add it to our cabinet. Then we know it looks the
The
least.
Summer Series trophy,
Exactly. But listen,
because that matters.
we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Seriously, message us. Let us know what you think. We'd love to get your comments on here. Like Bryce said, he's going to be doing shout-outs every episode. So get yourself on one of our pages and let us know where you're from. Let us know who your favorite player is, and we'd love to call you out on here and give you a shout-out.
Last bit of shade because it's so hot in Arizona today. If we win the Summer Series, the trophy count will be Ruben Amorim 1, Mikel Arteta 0.
Yes, it will. And per Rashford roasting Arsenal again. Listen, real quick. 2 more minutes.
That was so good.
2 more minutes.
That was so good.
All right. How the loudest fan base on the planet for football is Arsenal.
Right now.
Right? They always are talking. Everything is theirs. They're wronged the most. They can't get this. They can't get that. We win trophies every other season almost, and yet they don't win anything, yet they're better, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody decides to yak at Rashford about trophies, and Rashford had to set him in his place. 10 years, 1 European trophy. Arsenal, 137 years. How many trophies? That's correct, Bryce. Settle. 0.
The same amount I have.
No, we've got 5 European trophies, my friend. 5.
Oh, I meant me personally.
Well, of course. You grew up in America. You don't have European anything unless you have any coinage
Case in
left from
point.
traveling. That's it. That's the only European.
I might have a Canadian loony sitting around, but that doesn't count.
That sounds good. All right. Well, it's been a good one. Hopefully, like I said, reach out. We'd love to hear from you guys. It's another Desert Devils podcast. We'll catch you guys next week. Let's go United against Bournemouth. Wednesday night. Catch you guys later.
Glory, glory.
All right. We're out.